Hi, everybody, and welcome to the European VC podcast. I am Andreas, and with me co-hosting today's episode is Omar from the MENA Tech Fund. Today, we have with us Saeed, Vice President of the Dubai Chamber of Digital Economy, where he works towards the transformation of the city of Dubai into an international technology hub. Saeed was previously the director of Dubai Future Academy, an initiative under Dubai Future Foundation. He also has led projects for the foundation, such as the Global Coders Initiative, the 1 Million Arab Coders Project, as well as the foundation's upskilling program. Additionally, he has considerable experience at the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center as Mission Strategist for the Emirates Mars mission and Program Director for the UAE's 100-year exploration strategy, the Mars 2117 program. So, listeners, as you can hear, we're in for a special episode. We're here to talk about the Northstar conference and how that is placed in with the region in the Middle East. So I'm super excited for this. If you're listening in and love our show, do drop us a review, follow the pod, and subscribe at EU.VC.
This was their finest hour.
Tear down this wall.
It's more than just an alliance. This is a union of values.
United and determined, we can serve as a model for other regions of the world.
The nature of a problem requires a European response.
Europe is a story of new beginnings, new beginnings.
Let's start acting.
This show is not investment advice, and the hosts of this episode may be invested in the funds and companies featured. And for more information about the Business in Dubai program connecting VCs and founders to investors, plus more, check out the show notes for this episode on EU.VC.
Saeed, it's amazing to have you with us. Let's start by setting the scene and tell our audience a bit about your background and kind of what brought you to the chamber and the journey you've been on in the last few years.
Thank you, Hamar and Andres, for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here. So as you guys mentioned, yes, I did start my career in the space program, worked in particularly on the Emirates Mars mission, which successfully reached Martian orbit in, just before Valentine's of 2021, as well as the Mars 2117 strategy, which is the UAE's space exploration strategy for the next 100 years. And a lot of the efforts that the UAE is doing in space is led by that. So that was a great honor to be involved in that project. As a result of that, I moved to the Dubai Future Foundation, which is an organization that looks at Dubai's future, as it has future in the middle of its name, with really a focus on sort of long-term horizons, 20 years plus and the like. So working on different policies, strategies, programs, initiatives, and things like that. I headed the capacity building vertical within the Dubai Future Foundation and worked on initiatives like the 1 Million Arab Coders Initiative and the Global Coders Initiative, which is, as the name states, building and really building capacity for, in the first instance, the 1 million Arabs on how to really become programmers for the ecosystem. And really that got me a good insight on sort of ecosystem building and what needs to happen for ecosystems to really be able to make the most out of talent and see that growth happening in terms of filling the gaps and having people do well and thrive. So thankfully, we were able to hit 1.2 million people for the 1 Million Arab Coders Initiative. And then as a result of that, I then moved into the Dubai Chamber of Digital Economy. Just to give you a bit of a background of sort of the Dubai Chambers of Digital Economy, I have to step back a little bit. So as you guys know, every city has its own Chamber of Commerce. In Dubai, we have it a little bit different. So our post-COVID response to this was to say, okay, the landscape has changed. And as such, the Chamber of Commerce in Dubai was split into 3 semi-independent chambers. One is focused on sort of outward expansion for companies in Dubai. We still have the regular Chamber of Commerce, and then comes in the Dubai Chamber of Digital Economy. And what we are basically the only organization that looks at the digital economy in Dubai end to end. What that means is we help companies, both locally and those coming from abroad, as well as investors, founders, MNCs, unicorns, everyone, as long as they're, within the tech space, with, things as simple as, hey, I'm interested in exploring the market, to setup, to market access, to advocacy, all the way to really helping these companies use Dubai's infrastructure and use Dubai as a launchpad for growth and serving global markets. So within our network, we do have 24 international offices around the world, which act as nodes for companies in Dubai that want to expand and explore these markets. So that's just a gist of myself and what we do.
One thing that kind of strikes and everything that you said to me, a lot of the roles you've had always had the word future in them. And I think that's kind of a testament of where Dubai is and wants to be. But before we get deep into that, tell us a couple of things interesting about you that nobody will know, but we should know ahead of Northstar. Don't hold back.
An interesting story going back to the one of the projects I worked on, which is the Mars 2117. The whole experience started as a VR simulation of how Mars would look like in 100 years. So we created a VR simulation that and a rover of how that would look like in 100 years. And I was so people can actually YouTube this. If you just write Mars 2117 and go through sort of the video, you can see a mini me in VR
on Mars.
On Mars. So do that as you will. The other thing is I am a recent dad. So for those that have gone through this process, it's like adding, a sort of a new pair of goggles on life.
Yeah.
So that's been quite a ride.
It also adds depth to all conversations, right? Because now you're seeing Omar and me smiling with I think we have equally big teeth, and we're both like, fuck, it's so nice to have you parent.
See, here's the thing. In terms of conversations, I don't know about the depth. You start talking about diapers and all of these kind of things. So that's certainly a different type of depth.
Let's call it emotional depth, right?
Yes,
because diapers, there's a lot of emotions around diapers.
Yeah,
I have a 10-year-old turning 11 this week. So, I like I said to Andreas before, I hang on to every little thing I get. So any moment he gives me, I'll bank it. I'll bank it before it's too late.
So will Saeed, because you only just had your child. I have a 3 and a 5-year-old, so I'm in the thick of it. So I'm just trying to forget everything and get on with it.
You're trying to, systemize things, systemize the process.
I feel like with Saeed, there seems to be, Mars, VR, on the planet, launched on Valentine's Day, father. So he's got his hands full on every single spectrum. But Saeed, look, a lot of people ask us about Dubai and where Dubai has been and where Dubai is going. And it's been rapid. The growth has been rapid. It's been phenomenal. Yeah. From your experience over the last few years that you've been involved in the ecosystem, but in different manners of it, what has contributed to that success? And what are the things that you've seen over the last 5 years that have really kind of taken us to where we are now?
No, absolutely. I think the main thing is really on two folds. One is a mindset play, really. I think if you look at the region, you have many different countries that are much more resource rich than the UAE, or in particular Dubai, rich by either hydrocarbons or by geography or even by historical importance. Whether it's an example could be Libya that has as much or even more Roman artifacts than Rome itself. So I think for us, as a result of that, it sort of humbled us, but gave us this mindset to be able to really look at life differently, which might even arise from really living in the desert. I usually give an example of in anywhere around the world, for you to navigate things, you have a landmark. There's a tree, there's a mountain, something like that. And with the desert sort of winds, a few days after that, it's not there anymore. So you have to really know where you're going and sort of be comfortable with ambiguity a little bit, and just you have a vision, you have a place you need to be, and you just work towards that. It's quite entrepreneurial, or in a primal sense. The other thing I would say is, which a lot of people don't know, it's Dubai has gone through a lot of ups and downs historically. So I'll give you an example, or actually, let me ask you guys a question. When do you think Dubai had the first sort of business friendly policy or initiative? What year?
The first business friendly?
Yeah, like an ecosystem policy, so to speak.
Oh my God, this is putting us on the spot. I am going to have a quick guess and say 2005.
Andreas?
Yeah, I think I would have said probably a bit later. Like I would have said 2010, but I think to our audience, Omar's guess is much more interesting because at that time I was.
Yeah, it's going to be the wrong guess. So go on.
It's actually 1833. It was the first sort of the ruler at the time decided to have Dubai be a sort of tax-free city for regional traders. What this ended up doing was, and this was as a result of not only a lack of resources or economic downturn at the time. But as a result of that, it created sort of almost a century of some form of prosperity. It not only attracted a lot of sort of business from the region, but Dubai was one of the main hubs for pearl diving and sort of pearl trading, which was great until the 1930, when the Japanese created the artificial pearl, and that created a dip in a crash. That was exacerbated by obviously the Great Depression, or the impact of it, and then that lasted until even post World War II, as we were sort of a British protectorate. So it was a compounded effect. But what ended up happening was, every time after that, Dubai would actually do better. Similarly happened as well in 1971. We were our own city, our own country, so to speak. And so we became a country with other cities. That was, again, quite new for this part of the world, even in terms of sort of a federal system of government that had a lot of sort of challenges. Similarly as well in the 80s. But then I think Dubai just as a city, kept on bouncing back 2x on average as a result of that. So we've gone through these sort of ups and downs. It helped us really learn. But I think one thing that it really embedded into Dubai and Dubai spirit is really the concept of what's good for business is good for Dubai. And if that is the constant, regardless of different aspects, different trends, usually the business community adapts quite well. And the role of Dubai is to create that right ecosystem for that to happen. So I think that's it. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you about, what at least in the VC ecosystem would feel like the latest inflection point in Dubai economy and society, which is, of course, the fact that over the last 5 years, we've gone from Dubai not being a place being spoken of necessarily as a hub in venture to definitely now being the place where every VC is going to try and raise capital. We're hearing that you're coming in as well to everyone everywhere else and hunting. So I'd be very curious to hear if that fits as an inflection point, or if it's just something in our small sector, and how it ties into everything macroeconomically these days.
No, definitely, and thank you for getting me back on track. I think one thing we've seen. So previously to I'd say 5 years, we have been gradually becoming this regional hub for VCs, right? Whether it's Dubai becoming gradually becoming this platform for the region and to be able to really accelerate. But I think over the past 5 years, there have been a few things that went quite well. One is, as a result of COVID, we sort of were able to adjust to that very well. We had, 3 weeks of full lockdown, and that was it in Dubai. So that what ended up creating is really a space for not only VCs but founders to be able to go somewhere during that aspect. Another thing as well is Dubai. Even when we talk about the rest of sort of the region, Dubai has been a test bed for different things, whether it's COVID measures, whether it's different technologies and things like that. And this spirit of experimentation requires you to really be in touch with the ecosystem, in particular with VCs and founders, and really understand where are their pain points. So a lot of sort of the regulations and legislative aspects that really helped VCs be able to set a foot, set a ground, and really call Dubai home, or even home away from home, was really set in place during this period of 5 years.
I love how you said you went into lockdown for 3 weeks, because the rest of us went into lockdown for felt like a lifetime. And I think that's a testament of getting things done quickly. But in your journey, engaging with VCs and startups, because we still get asked, is Dubai really a place where I can go and raise capital from? Is Dubai really a place I can deploy from? And you touched on it being a test bed, which is amazing for new technologies. And I think, it would be great to hear some examples of how that test bed is. From a VC perspective, how have you seen the funding landscape evolve over the last few years here in Dubai?
That's a great question. I think, from our perspective, what we've seen is a few things, right? We've seen Dubai become a platform for talent, right? For talent that has potential elsewhere, they tend to come to Dubai. And in fact, I know a VC that their model is based on Dubai becoming this platform that is able to filter in sort of the right type of founders that can go global or serve sort of global markets. I think that's one of the things that really sort of happened, which attracted a lot of sort of talent into the region. I think as a result as well is, so because of a few factors. One is Dubai has approximately 200 different nationalities. This allows a lot of founders to be able to experiment, even if it's a little bit, with that community in Dubai. Because, I lived in the States for a few years, and when you live in the States, you gradually become Americanized. In Dubai, you actually stay as you are, if you like. A lot of the different sort of consumer behavior, a lot of different sort of mindsets sometimes are still as they are in those countries, right? Or as fresh as they can be. So founders can really, for example, be able to experiment with a particular solution or a product for their Filipino market, be able to test it a little bit. If they have positive sort of impact or return, then they can actually deploy it to some extent in a studied and experimented manner in the Philippines, for example. The other thing is we, as a city, love experimenting. So the government loves experimenting. I think this is a paradox.
Yeah,
So
I was
I'll
about
give
to
you
say that's something we've never heard about a government on this podcast before.
It's someone who's. I'll give you an example, right? From two aspects. One is one that I've seen sort of firsthand, which is, for example, the Emirates Mars mission. Usually, it takes 12 years to be able to develop a mission for Mars. The mission took us 6 years to develop because we were able to experiment with different, actually, as simple as sort of different types of partnerships, all the way to experimenting with sort of different types of instruments, of even ways of doing things as well. So it allowed us to really cut the time and be able to do it, at a much faster and even cost-effective way. The other thing is, one of the things that really was able to propel Dubai into sort of tech is the concept of cluster economies. So those of you who've been in Dubai might know, the Dubai Internet City or the different free zones.
So this is what we call the free zones, right?
Yes. So right. It really falls back to what is called the cluster economy model, where you have different ecosystems and communities that allow you to not only meet like-minded individuals that are going through the same sort of trials that you're going through, you really pick the different talent that is in that space, and they happen to be from everywhere around the world as a result. I'll give you an example. Both Amazon and Meta experimented some of their solutions for global markets in Dubai. Meta tried it with WhatsApp, the sort of how do you send an address and pinpointing address locations for the Pakistani and Indian markets, because Dubai has a similar challenge of hey,
with locations.
With locations. With Amazon, for example, it was with the drone delivery. We do have quite, particularly for commercial aspects, we do have a favorable sort of drone policies that allows you to test that. Currently, Aramex, the Middle East's largest courier service, is testing that with a Colombian company. And we're having as well sort of the regulator for road and transportation testing autonomous vehicles in one of those cluster economies, or in particular, the Dubai Silicon Oasis area. So I think that allows, in my opinion, VCs to be able to see what are the forefront of applied solutions on the ground, in particular when we talk about, whether it's products or even hard tech.
I think it's interesting that you say, you can actually build and test for markets from Dubai, but with the same kind of consumer habits that you would deploy in those markets. I never really thought of it that way. And you're right. You can build, now thinking about it, you can build here for the Asian market and still test it as if you were testing in Asia, even for the European market, etc. That's a really interesting proposition. We often think of kind of as VCs, as investors, let's be in London or deploy out of London or the US, because that's, that's where tech is kind of born out of, and that's where it can go global. What would you say to somebody when they say, actually, Dubai is still very regional? And I know you touched on kind of building global, but are you seeing that every day? You're seeing founders. So as a VC, would I see the deal flow being in Dubai?
So I'll give you sort of some numbers from our latest sort of VC report. So from a regional play, the UAE has, 65 or 65+% of all of the sort of funded scale-ups in 2023. 90% of them are based in Dubai. So even from a funding perspective, we're starting to get those funds into companies that are based in Dubai. But what we're starting to see as well is, and this is something that we do as Dubai Chamber of Digital Economy, where we visit the ecosystem a few times a week, whether it's startup, enterprise, government, and VCs, and etc. And we're starting to see larger number of companies, whether it's startups all the way to MNCs and unicorns, saying we have plans to move our tech teams to Dubai. The first example of that is with a startup that we met in May. And they said, hey, you know what? They actually took us to where their engineers are. And they're saying, we just moved our engineers from Bangalore, which was quite a question mark for us. And it's like, okay, why? Because usually we hear Dubai is very expensive. And then they said, actually, we did the math with the competition for engineers, for example, in different parts of the world. It's actually much cheaper for us to have them here in Dubai, because they keep getting, whether it's, better offers that they have to match, and it's causing them quite a headache that they can't focus on the product development. While having them in Dubai, not only does the quality of life standard allow for these engineers to have sort of better quality of life, but they can really focus on building something that they can go global with. And we're starting to see that happening more so, as well as companies in particular are, particularly those that want to go global, will have issues or have these challenges in terms of attracting talent. And Dubai is one of those few sort of pockets in the world that you can attract, people from all over the world, and they can be in one room without sort of, talking to each other. But they can, be in this, be together in one company, be able to focus on the product development test it, get it out in the market, and Dubai offers that in a very seamless way.
You're right, because we've touched on this in a couple of the episodes before, kind of Dubai's geographical position and how that plays such a critical part in this. In terms of the VCs, now we're seeing that. I think, this year for Expand Northstar, we have probably about, I think, 700 global funds joining the summit. And the mix is, I would say, 40% European, 20 American, and the other 40 is kind of Asian, African. But it all come in, Dubai has put itself on the map. And I think the next phase is, can I be there, and almost what can I expect from being in Dubai and seeing, which I think will be a fascinating, interesting time now.
Yeah, no, especially because, one of the things that a lot of companies, when they, or VCs, when they come to Dubai, and I'm sure, Amra, you might have noticed this, because of whether it's the free zones, whether it's the different jurisdictions, there are it's a good problem to have, but it's, there are a lot of options for both founders and VCs, right? And so that's one of the reasons that we're here as the Dubai Chamber of Digital Economy. We're an unbiased organization, a nonprofit that, works for the private sector. We're starting to become this gateway for many different organizations that, they want to explore Dubai, or they know that they want to be in Dubai. How can they do that in a way that, one, is cost effective, and two, that causes less headache? That's something that, we're seeing more so. And, we're seeing even the ecosystem, in particular from a government perspective as well, really act as, okay, we know we're hearing you guys, and then we're working on different initiatives. There are some, for example, some free zones that are saying, you know what, don't pay us for the first year in terms of setup costs. We'll give you the locations and things like that are usually in prime locations in Dubai.
What can we expect as investors coming to Dubai in terms of support from the chamber? So, every VC will say to you, I'm trying to raise capital, or the cost of setting up. And we've seen that in the kind of, actually the UK over the last few years.
Yeah.
A lot of VCs have moved to either Lisbon or the Netherlands for setup. What can we expect from you and the team here in Dubai to support him? What's on offer?
And before we go there, Saeed, could I take us one step back or step out to just ask you if you can help us understand the Dubai LP strategy, if I may put it like that. And here I'm not asking you what Sharif is doing with Dubai Future District Fund, because he would be talking about the investment strategy, right?
Yeah.
But here I'm talking about the motivations behind having such aggressive LP investments coming from the region, because it is absolutely, so we've now spoken a lot about the VC strategy of Dubai, right? Meaning the focus on the startups, focus on the tech community and all that. But you're also very active across the world with LP investments. And I'm curious if there's a bigger strategy behind that, or it's more everyone's moving to tech, and for that reason, and we have a lot of capital here, and for that reason, capital seeks where there's best returns, or is there a strategic goal behind it?
So I think it's and it goes back to some of the challenges that I think you see in particular in the UAE we're facing, right? The main national challenges I would say are food, energy, and water security, right? Even in terms of sector focuses, these are actually the reason why we're going to Mars, the reason why we're doing what we're doing, right? So I think one of the aspects that as to why we're investing not only abroad but investing in tech is to know that, and we've seen this actually as the city developed, right? We saw how tech not only is able to uplift people's lives, but is able to transform countries and nations and really uplift a country. And we're seeing how through tech, through science, and even the investments in R&D, not only are we able to offset the sort of, let's say, the long-term impact or when we sort of ship out the last barrel of oil and gas, but we're able to peer into the future, going back to what Amar was mentioning earlier, really be able to have a a door open into the future in terms of tech and what it can do and how we can make the most out of it from a business perspective as well. So yes, we are offsetting from a strategic perspective, but it's at least the Dubai mentality it's very business focused, is very sort of focused on how can this not only be a potential template for different companies that Dubai can support, but even finding ways where it obviously everyone ends up benefiting from whether it's from a return perspective.
And now let's go to Mar's question then, which is more detailed.
Yeah, I was thinking, look, a lot of the VCs come in here, and it's kind of linked to what Andreas was saying, thinking, look, Dubai could be a place I can find deal flow and invest from. I get all that geography, but actually I want to raise capital, but also I want to set up efficiently. And I want to understand a bit more about the role the chamber can play within that, whether it be the family offices, the limited party LPs, or the funds of funds, or actually just the process of setting up and making my entry as easy as possible.
Well, as you've touched upon one of the things. So we do have within the Dubai Chambers, the Dubai Family Business Center, right? So what this is a center that really represents all business or family businesses in Dubai, whether it's from educating sort of the next in line sort of leadership, all the way to really having them, going back to what you probably want to hear, is how do you find new ways of doing investment?
See, that's what everybody wants to hear. See, it's not me.
Yes, and the thing is, it's very clear, and we do see it a lot, where yes, family businesses are happy with real estate and sort of stock options and bond investments and all of that, but there is this appetite for investing in venture. And one of the things, and I think that's an opportunity for VCs, it's to actually be able to educate these a lot of the family businesses as to how to do it in the right way. A lot of them want to, but they don't know how to sort of get their hands dirty. That's one. The other thing is, for many different family businesses in particular, it's the focus is, a VC comes in and says, I will take your money and invest it, in Europe or somewhere else. For many family businesses, they do want to see some of that money staying here, and in Dubai in particular, or at least in the UAE. At least so for them, they're seeing the impact of the investment that they're making. But most of them are fine with a chunk of it going abroad or going to the portfolio of companies that these VCs already have. So it's just being able to manage these aspects. Another thing as well is we are a trust-based society, and I think for VCs who've done east of the UAE have done any businesses, it does sometimes take time, but in particular with family businesses. But then once you get that trust, you're set. It's just how do you do that in a way that not only works for you, but is as well respectful to whoever your sort of LPs are going to be. That's just one thing that we can do. Another thing within the chamber is we do have a program that we're launching during the first week of October called Business in Dubai, where it provides two things. One is market access. So a VC can come in and say, you know what, I want to be in contact with X, Y, and Z. And we actually do that connections, and we set the meetings and all of that.
That's interesting. So they can come to you and say, I want to connect with family X, and you'll make that introduction, that connection, or is there a pre-filter to this kind of?
So there is. So and I'll share with you the website on our website at the Dubai Chamber, Dubai Digital Chamber. It's our market access program right now. But what we're doing is in October and the first week of October, we're launching the Business in Dubai program. What it does is, in addition to the market access, it even provides services to VCs, to entrepreneurs, founders, and the like, as simple as, I want both connectivity, setup, housing, short-term rentals, free zones, banking as well, solutions that, yes, we know it has been a bit of a challenge for companies and for VCs, but we're able to actually connect you to the right person and avail the services of Dubai for companies to be able to really make the most out of the infrastructure and the products that Dubai has to offer. As I mentioned earlier, they're a bit scattered. And so what we're doing is we're actually putting it in one place. All you have to do, fill out a form, and we do what you would like us to do. So this cuts the time for both, startups, founders, VCs significantly. As a result, we've been soft launching it for those that have been sort of in touch with us for the past few months. And, it just allows them to be able to smoothly land into Dubai and even be able to go beyond the challenges that exist previously.
I think now that you've mentioned this publicly here, I think you're going to be swamped with requests from the first week of October.
That's music to my ears. That's what we're here to do.
And I think it's a great initiative, and I think let's call it soft landing or market access, but also from a VC perspective, it's a massive opportunity. We're now starting to think about expand Northstar. We're only about 4 weeks away. About 700 funds, 700 global funds, over 4,000 startups. I think from 70 plus countries are going to be in town. Lots of activity. What are you most excited about, and what are you looking forward to?
Well, what I'm really excited about, actually, it's a few things. One is it's going to be in a new location that's much bigger and much nicer. So that I'm looking forward to that. But then I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of the work that the team has done, whether it's ourselves and the folks at Dubai World Trade Center, come together in terms of the matchmaking and even the communications and the get-togethers between startups, founders, and VCs and investors. I think not only does that provide sort of investors from Dubai with a wide range of potential opportunities to invest, but even vice versa, where investors from abroad be able to see startups and founders and meet with them, establish relationships for the long term, and in geographies that usually, either it's too far or it's a bit of a challenge to get in touch with. It's this platform, and I'm really looking forward to people really utilizing it and meeting and getting to know Expand Northstar. But for me, it's as well getting to know Dubai on a more sort of the chambers wise. What I'm excited as well, we're launching something called Launchpad Dubai that allows companies not only to explore, the whole event and meet people, but if they are seriously interested in being in Dubai, we provide visa, setup, banking, housing, whichever as well, solutions on the spot as well for them to be able to hit the ground running from there. So not only are we seeing the impact of them meeting with VCs, meeting with startups, but then being able to see that impact happening in Dubai as well.
Amazing, and that's, I guess, that's aimed at companies looking to scale. So, and it's a great benefit.
It's actually to all, to VCs, to MNCs, to everyone.
Anyone listening in, if you feel like staying when you get there, you know where to head. Just get that visa done, and you won't have to go home to your wife and family.
I think this has been so successful so far. So we have VC and family LP matchmaking at a drop of a hat. We have scale-ups, accommodation and housing at the drop of a hat. And we have the Sunshine and Expand Northstar all in 1 week. We've got all bases covered now.
Yeah, we hope so. And we look forward to seeing everyone coming in.
So say just quickly before we wrap up, if we did this conversation again in a year or 2 years' time, where would you like things to be in an ideal? Everything goes well with the chamber and you're growing, everything looks great. Where would things be then?
From my perspective, so my aim within not just Expand Northstar, but as well with the chambers, is to be a step closer towards creating the perfect ecosystem for everyone, founders and VCs alike. I think that's the role that we have, not only as a chambers, but even as a city. I think that's what we pride ourselves in terms of, the final goal that we have is to be able to create the right ecosystem for people to thrive. If we're one step towards that goal, if we're helping people be able to do what they need to do to thrive, to grow, to serve global markets, then I think we're heading in the right direction.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think that's a wrap from our end, and I think we'll wrap it on everybody thriving in global markets.
Thank you, guys.
And I was just about to say to our dear audience, as you know, this is the podcast for insiders in VC. And for that reason, I decided to stay as much as possible out of this conversation, because you deserve to hear the insiders talking instead of Andreas talking a bit about Dubai and not knowing anything. So Omar and Saeed, thanks a million for being our superstars on this episode. Everyone listening in, thank you so much. If you're enjoying this, do drop us a review on podcast, Spotify, or wherever you're listening, and follow the pod on EU.VC.
This was their finest hour.
Tear down this wall.
It's more than just an alliance. This is a union of values.
United and determined, we can serve as a model for other regions of the world.
The nature of a problem requires a European response.
Europe is a story of new beginnings. New beginnings.
Let's start acting.